Hi, folks. So this week and next, we're going to be getting into some of the other theories or concepts or ideas that have become important in various archaeologies of gender. And we're going to begin this week by looking more closely at feminism, specifically at fourth wave feminism or intersectional feminism. And we're going to have an exercise we're going to do together that is going to allow us to examine intersectionality and make it a little bit more relevant both personally, but then also think about how that's going to carry forward in the work we're going to be doing in this term. Next week, we're going to look at another major body of theory, which is queer theory. And we'll see how that's actually very closely related with intersectional feminism and our understanding and approach around intersectionality. The other task we have this week is to introduce our textbook for the term, which is Black Feminist Archaeology by Dr. Battle Baptiste. And so we're going to be looking at the introduction in chapter 1 for that text. So I'm not going to actually lecture too much for you in this video. I want you to engage with the lecture materials and with the assigned reading and other content for this week. Also have a chance to kind of catch up with some of the other core readings from last week. I know last week was a very heavy reading week, but hopefully the brief summaries that I've provided here for you will provide a little bit more context to some of what you've already been encountering in this course. And as I mentioned, we're going to be focusing on explicitly intersectionality because it's a core concept that has been brought into archaeologies of gender and anthropology more broadly when we're looking at and examining gender. One of the things that I hope you folks will see is that defining and identifying sorry, that's not the right word, but I'm not going to start over. So defining feminism and what it means to be feminist is actually a challenging concept because it means so many different things to different people. And it's also something that the brief history is meant to encapsulate has changed over time. But one of the things I want to make very clear is that when we talk about intersectional feminism in a contemporary perspective, we're really trying to get at kind of sources of inequity and inequality. It's very strongly linked with social justice movements. There's an explicit acknowledgement that privilege and oppression exists and attempting to kind of root out those underlying causes that contribute to, again, sources of injustice that persist in our societies today. So that's our goal, is to really look at what intersectionality is. And so I want to acknowledge the incredible work of Kimberly Crenshaw, a legal scholar who gave us this concept of intersectionality and defined it. I've linked, I believe, in the notes here below, a lovely TEDx talk she did where she talks about the importance and relevance of intersectionality. I'll put a bit of a content warning with it. There is discussion of gender-based violence and racialized violence as well. So most of it happens around the 12-minute mark. So if that's particularly triggering for you, you can avoid it. But it's, I think, important to note that it is incorporated in there, but it's also very powerful. And she illustrates the importance of intersectionality very clearly through this talk, as well as provide some background to it. So you'll see in the notes that I have a bit of a thought exercise, and then we're going to go over this in class a little bit, is thinking about how our various identities intersect with each other and relate to various systems of both privilege and oppression that occur in our societies. And so I've put myself in here just as an initial foray, and I want to talk about how you'll see here I've given a blank wedge so we can talk about the other identities that might not be captured in this wheel. And how they may impact the kinds of archaeology we do in archaeology more broadly in terms of how archaeology has been done and will be done. Okay, and then again, I get a bit more background in terms of looking at intersectionality from another perspective, and again, that start to extend outside of aspects of identity and start to look at, again, larger forces and structures that contribute to discrimination. And the goal of talking about privilege and identity and talking about oppression is that one of the things we must do as anthropologists and as archaeologists is identify bias and sources of bias. And so this pyramid does a great job of explaining how bias is very prevalent. We all have various forms of bias. And so one of our roles that we need to do is identify the biases that we bring to the kinds of work we do, because bias contributes to other forms of violence and discrimination, and ultimately, when allowed to persist and to build in a society, can contribute to things such as genocide. So we'll talk a little bit more about this pyramid and how this operates in lecture this week. So again, we want to identify our sources of implicit bias, and this is important because this, of course, has a lot to do with archaeology. It shaped our discipline. It shapes, again, the kinds of research questions we ask, our approach to gender, our approach to other aspects of identity when we're doing analysis of the archaeological record. And to illustrate the importance of intersectionality in the work we do as archaeologists, I wanted to introduce the work of Dr. Heath Stout, and their excellent contemporary review of archaeological literature. So these are the discussion questions I've prepared for you folks, and I'd like you to read this article, and then we'll talk about this in class. In the notes here, I've captured a couple of key tables and figures from this work by Heath Stout that I'd like to talk about, that illustrates some key points relating again to intersectionality and how it does provide some insights in terms of the narratives about the past, so linking with last week's topic that we see and we encounter in the regarding the archaeological record and regarding the past. Again, this relates explicitly to the feminist approach that we are going to be taking in this course, and how feminist archaeology is very much part of archaeologies of gender. And so again, wanted to link it back to the readings from last week, where we looked at the work of folks like Conkey and Spector. The other thing that I wanted to connect this with is the broader concept of reflexivity. And this is something where I hope those of you folks who've taken more courses in cultural anthropology, for example, can talk about this, about how reflexivity is not only an important part of anthropology, but is also an important part of archaeology and feminist archaeologies as well. And we see this, again, illustrated very clearly in our major text for this term, which is Black Feminist Archaeology. So before you read the rest of these lecture notes, please do the reading, the introduction in chapter 1. We'll read the rest of the chapters throughout the term. And these are the main questions that I have. So I'm challenging you to answer these questions before you go into the following lecture notes, because the following lecture notes are kind of my high-level executive summary of some key takeaways of these readings that I wanted to go over with you. And so we'll go over these remaining slides in class together when we meet on Thursday. So again, this video is just meant to be a brief introduction to some of the key concepts that we're going to be doing in the exercises that we'll be doing, the kind of in-class exercises or activities we'll be doing on Thursday. So take care, everyone, and I will see you on Thursday.